Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello there, and welcome into another duly noted podcast, as always, brought to you by the great people at Titan MRI, sponsors of the Bob Dooley Invitational. And, of course, we're coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, the Meldon Law, another sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. I'm in a good mood because one of the people that have gotten involved with our podcast is now a sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. Eastlake Pediatrics signed up for a big gold sponsorship, guys. I know you're happy about that for that golf tournament. We're going to make Tammy come out to the golf tournament this year. Yeah, I got something I can have you, it'll be pretty cool. You can just maybe just teach people how to putt because I know you're a good putter. So we'll do that. Yeah. You're a good swinger? Okay. She'll hit the drive for everybody on one hole. Here we go. All right. So here we go with a good show. And Coach Spurrier will join us. We taped it yesterday, to be honest with you, Thursday, because Coach Spurrier is going to the Heisman. And we'll talk about the Heisman a lot with him. We even have a little trivia question or trivia quiz for him. I don't know if he was ready for that when we taped that yesterday. It was almost like, wait a minute, I didn't know there'd be math here. It was that kind of thing. But it's still, there's some great questions. And I actually did something along those lines for GatorsWire.com if you want to go on and read that, which I write for. And then on Monday, Coach Spurrier won't be here because he'll be at I think the banquet is on Monday, maybe on Sunday. But anyway, he'll be flying back. So Peter Burns is going to join us. We haven't had Peter on in a long time. Can't wait to talk to him. On Friday, Drew Copeland is going to join us for our annual picks contest. And I won last year, so he owes me a lunch. So before I will allow him to come sit in the studio, I will demand some food. So we'll see what happens. He may bring me a McDonald's bag. And if it's, if I'm from Tennessee, it'll be filled with money. All right, let us get to the Hand Law starting lineup. And again, as always, we appreciate our good friends at Hand Law. Chris Hand was such a great job of, just being a sponsor. I mean, the sponsors that we've got are unbelievable friends now. And that's what's really been fun about this. I was talking about Mike Jordan from Eastlake Pediatrics. I'm going over to see him after the show. He's got a condo over here. Really cool friends, and I appreciate them. And especially Chris Hand, who's been with us for a long time. The starting lineup is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. We appreciate Chris. Let's get to our starting lineup. Number one, your starting quarterback is alive. His name is Jack Miller for the Las Vegas Bowl. You talk about a guy who's just been kind of in the netherworld after the injury. It's still not a good situation. But what else do you have? You have nothing else you can do. You had one guy who was your on the field almost all the time. One guy who was a good backup and did well when he had that chance, and they're both gone. Nobody saw this coming this way, obviously. But the bottom line is, Jack Miller's, a highly rated quarterback. My problem is he was cleared to throw 3 weeks ago. So he's had 3 weeks of throwing to scout team guys before bowl practice. Like it's not good. There's no way to make this seem like a good situation for Florida. It was a bad matchup, good on good, in my opinion. That was my opinion. I said, Oregon State, that's going to be tough. Then I started thinking about all the people, and then they started falling. Ventrell Miller not being there, I don't blame him. I understand. He's been hurt all year, really. Rumor has it that he has a broken foot he's been playing on. Dexter going to play. We'll see if that does hold up. The spread is up to 11 in some places, and that will tell you. I mean, this is not a good situation for Florida, but it is what it is. But here's a good thing. And you say, oh, why do we have to have bowls? Well, these kids, and again, now when guys are getting money, but they're not all getting money. They're not all making a lot of money. The bottom line is, guess what they get when they land, when they get into their hotel, which is the Mandalay Bay, I believe, or I think it's Mandalay Bay, which is unbelievable. Guess what they get? They get robes from Vegas. They get Vegas robes, man. I want one of those. I want them to get me one of those. Then you go to a hospitality suite at some point during the week and pick out electronics and stuff like that. This is about the players. It's about ESPN. It's about the communities that are hosting because they want people come to see their town, no matter where it is, whether it's Mobile or Las Vegas. I mean, that's just what it is. So don't badmouth the Bulls. I'm not allowing it. All right, number 2, Osiris Torrance, who came here for 1 year and was just an unbelievably good player, will get a brick in front of the stadium. As you know, you have to qualify one of 5 ways. There's 5 All-American teams. If you make one of them, you qualify. They're the legit ones, not, like, bushbeans.com, no, it's not stuff like that. It's Walter Camp, Football Writers, AP. It used to be UPI, and I don't know what that is anymore. But anyway, so Osiris Torrance makes it. He is first team All-American. Unfortunately, you only have him for a year, but it was a great year for him, and he played well. And fortunately, he was an exception to the rule in a lot of cases. But he'll get a brick out in front of that stadium. And it's so weird still. Every day I walk by there and I see all the bricks, and I always kind of pause and kind of look at a couple of them. And that one blank one that they pulled out that was Aaron Hernandez still haunts me. It's like, man, it just like they've got to do something about that. They've got to figure it out. They cannot have a blank brick up there because all that says is, oh, something bad happened. Again, they can talk to me for some of these suggestions I have. So congratulations to him. And number 3 on the hand loss starting 5, transfer portal quarterbacks are just all over the place. Don't believe anything you read. Don't believe anything you see. Guys are putting stuff up there that is, I've gotten an offer from this team. Well, that means they talk. So you're saying they talk to you? They actually talk to you? No. Everybody, I mean, these players are trying to pump themselves up on the internet, and I understand why they are. In fact, it's been kind of cracking me up that you see all these Florida players, and they're doing their, kind of an appeal to other teams, other coaches, because those coaches are basically they look at everything on the internet, they look at everything on Twitter, so they're putting on Twitter, look at these highlights for me, and they're all practice highlights or the spring game highlights, and you have to say, well, he's okay, but why didn't he play? But it's just kind of weird. The whole thing is weird, as we all know. There's a lot of talk about, I tell you what, Michael Pratt from Tulane is a guy I know Florida's targeting. 25-5, 25 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I would love to see him come here, but we'll see who they end up getting. And they've got to get a physical veteran linebacker from somewhere. I know that Mississippi there's a player from Mississippi State who is a leading tackler in the SEC this year. Come on down. So we'll see how the portal goes. Number 4 on the hand loss starting 5, and I hate to even bring this up. We're trying to be positive here, right? But man, did basketball stink the other night. It was awful. I sat there and I watched the game, and I got to write about it afterwards for Gators Wire, and I'm like, I can't stop watching it, but it's like looking into the sun for repeated hours. I mean, it was just, they just aren't. That was an elite team. UConn is really good. UConn could be a Final Four team. I'm not saying they will be a Final Four team because you never know what's going to happen. college basketball's that way. I mean, it could be knocked out in the first round, but they're good enough to be that. When you bring in two centers like they had, both really played better than Colin Castleton. That says a lot about how good you are. However, Florida has still not played well against good teams, and they are certainly not getting it done right now. And you got to give Todd time. I understand people get upset, but we're still only 10 games into his career. So we'll just keep monitoring this. But it was not a pleasant. What night was that? I can't remember what night that was. So that would have been Monday night, Tuesday night. Yeah, the Connecticut game. Yeah. All right. So and finally, number 5 on hand-loss starting lineup. Volleyball season ended, and really sorry to see that happen. Mary White had a really good team that did great things, won the SEC. They got down 2-0 to Pittsburgh. They kind of didn't come out good and play well. They played great in the third set, won it. Fourth set, they had a chance. There were a couple of questionable calls, but they always seem to go against Florida. I wonder why that is. But the bottom line is a really good year. It's a very young team. They'll be back next year, and they'll have a really good team again next year. I always encourage people to support all those kind of sports. It means a lot to me that when people get out there and show up for those kind of games, because I'm telling you, man, they're working just as hard, and some of them don't get full scholarships, but all the sports, whether it's men's golf or lacrosse or obviously even baseball, where they don't get full scholarships. So I just think you might want to get involved with a lot of the other sports, because the two that really matter don't seem to be doing really well, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. All right, let us get to our break. And when we come back from break, Coach Spurrier is going to join us. So we'll have a good time with him. You are watching or listening to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brew To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little gators better than Dr. Mike. and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of Eastlake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about Eastlake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, Coach Spurrier usually is on with us on Mondays. Monday, he had to be at the Hall of Fame. Friday, he's heading up to the Heisman. So we're taping this on Thursday because we want to get his thoughts on everything that's going on. And certainly going up to the Heisman is something that matters a lot to you. And I was talking about this on the radio yesterday with Jeff. I think the Heisman is the most prestigious award anybody can win, literally, because there's not that many of them, and it's a big deal.
It's probably the best individual award. Yeah. I always say that. Obviously, winning SEC championships and a national championship, to me, is bigger because you share it with so many people. The Heisman and all those Player of the Year is pretty much a singular trophy and so forth. But it's nice to be on that list of guys, and it's fun to go up there and see a bunch of them that come back and honor this year's recipient.
Yeah, of course, 3 Gators. I don't know if Tebow will be there or not. I know Danny's planning on being there, right?
He comes a lot of years. Tim does. Danny and I just about always are there, and they give some money for your foundation, your charitable foundation. Mm-hmm. So it's worth it to help spread the money out some.
Absolutely. And it's certainly we're getting ready for bowl season as well. And we were just talking off the air about the Dukies in a bowl game, and that's pretty exciting.
The Dukies have had a big year, 8-4, and I don't think anybody predicted that at all. So they're in a bowl game and so forth. The Tar Heels sort of faded at the end.
They did.
But they did get to the championship game. Clemson, I told somebody the other day, all we talk about is this Final Four teams,
Exactly.
And so forth. And I said, let me tell you something. I know TCU's in, the playoffs, but I guarantee they would give that up to be called the Big 12 champs. Mm-hmm. But Kansas State calls themselves the champs. Utah calls themselves the champs out there, what they are.
Yep.
And that's a memory of a lifetime. So it was sort of neat seeing Dabo Swinney at the induction the other night. And I said, he may not be in that Final Four, but he's got another ACC championship. I think he's won 7 in the last 8 years. So that's pretty doggone good.
Yeah, and he was saying, I feel like the game we're playing, the bowl game we're playing, is a playoff game, but nobody else feels that way. But, I mean, those are the last two of the last 3 teams,
It's always good, I think, to end on a positive note. If you win that bowl game and finish ranked in the top 10 or top 5, for them, it would probably be a top 5. And they get to play Tennessee.
Yep.
So, hey, we beat Tennessee, or Tennessee can say, hey, we beat Clemson. So I think that'll be an excellent game down there in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think all your teams are in bowl games, right? Because Florida's in a bowl game, Dukie's, Mississippi State, where your son coaches, and South Carolina.
South Carolina in the Gator Bowl. Yeah, they're getting a lot of hype for that game. Anytime you play Notre Dame, they could be 6-6. It doesn't matter, and it would be a big deal with all the history, tradition of Notre Dame football. Yeah, so I think South Carolina, they've already sold like 40,000 plus tickets. Easy drive down 95 for all the Gamecock fans to get there. So that it's almost a sellout over to Gator Bowl. So that, even though the Notre Dame quarterback and the tight end have opted out, yeah, they're going pro or whatever, or I think one of them's in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Mayer's going pro, and the quarterback's in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Teams don't emphasize those bowl games the way we did back in the 90s and so forth.
Not at all, because, I mean, for a long time, there weren't that many bowls. So getting into a bowl was a huge deal. I mean, I remember the first major bowl Florida ever played in was your junior year, right? The Sugar Bowl.
Went to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah,
Sugar Bowl, and then Orange Bowl. And since then, well, we've been to a bunch of major bowls since then.
Yeah. But I mean, before that,
that was the first one.
Yeah, that was a big deal, and just going to a bowl game was a huge deal. Now, I mean, ESPN's bought them all, so it's just they're using it for programming, and but it's still good for the players. I think that to be able to go to bowl games, but. One thing you never had to worry about were players opting out before a bowl game. I was trying to think if anybody ever decided I'm not playing in the game.
Yeah, that was not in vogue back in our days. But I guarantee you, we since we talked about winning the bowl game in preseason, that was part of our season. It wasn't just an extra game like they look at it nowadays. And I remember after the Sugar Bowl, Ike and Riedel came up and said, Coach, we need to have a conversation with you about whether or not to come back and play next year. Because they'd played 3 years and won 3 SECs and a national. And I told both of them, I said, you guys have done enough for the University of Florida. It's time for you guys to go make some money yourselves. So they went on. And of course, both of them were first round picks. Yeah. But, some coaches try to talk those guys into coming back. But obviously they had done enough, I think, and they were ready to go NFL.
Yeah, I know Saban tells his players, if you're going in the first round, go. But if you're not, we need to have a talk, and I can get you more feedback and everything, and try to make it work for you.
Yeah, his guys don't leave unless they're first rounders, just about.
And you have had some guys just want to get out, and I mean everybody's had to deal with that with some guys. In fact, there's one player for Oregon State that has opted out, and they're projecting him as a second round draft pick. But he's ready to go. His brother's in the NFL, and he wants to join him there. And
the Notre Dame tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, he said, I wanted to go to Notre Dame because they got a bunch of tight ends that go to the NFL.
Yeah.
And maybe it's going to work out for him. But
he's pretty good. Yeah.
Somebody once said 75 or 80% of all the kids that sign scholarships think they're going to go to the NFL. At least 80%.
Even though it's only 1% or whatever.
1.5%, something like that, get a chance to go. And then the life of an NFL player is like 3-4 years now anyway. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to change. So, but statistically, you'd think a young man say, hey, I'm going to play all 4 years, get a degree. And if I'm able to play in the NFL, I'll go play as long as I can. And then, find a good job and get a wife and kids and live a wonderful life.
And, of course, Florida playing in a bowl game out in Vegas and where you just were. And it sounds like a lot of Gator fans will go out there, but just to go to Vegas. But they don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. So it's a bad matchup for Florida. I was telling Steve before, this is an Oregon State team that has only won 10 games twice in its history. So they get a chance to do it again. It's going to matter to them.
And they'll have a crowd there.
Yeah.
The hardcore Gator fans may go out for this one, but it's I don't even know how many players we got suiting up for this game. Do we have 40 maybe.
I would go
don't know.
40 to 45. I think, yeah. And there'll be some walk-ons that suit up. I mean, you had that situation in the Sugar Bowl in '91 where we were talking about this yesterday, where all your linebackers got hurt. You had Greg Diamond stuck in there playing, trying to tackle Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, we messed that game up in the first half when we went up and down the field and had to kick
field goals.
kicking field goals from inside the 10-yard line. So, anyway, we had a wonderful season, and Shane Matthews, SEC Player of the Year again, and so forth. First official championship. 1990 was our first, of course, but anyway.
Yeah, well, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, Saturday the Heisman Trophy will be awarded. I don't know about you, Steve. I had a hard time coming up with my three guys. I mean, it wasn't like there weren't a lot of candidates, but there was not one guy that stood out. So it made it hard. I like my ballot. We can't reveal our ballots, but was it hard for you too?
Well, I think almost all voters voted for three quarterbacks, and there's about 4 or 5 of them out there certainly deserving. The TCU quarterback, I think, really helped himself, even though they didn't win that game, Max Duggan. And but whether or not he could overtake the Southern Cal quarterback, he was a favorite going in. And, of course, he got hurt in the Utah game, conference championship game. So, anyway, we'll wait and see how the vote comes out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, and I can tell you a guy that I didn't vote for. I'm allowed to reveal that. I did vote, actually, for Hendon Hooker. I thought he was the best player in college football this year. Now, he gets hurt in the next to last game, and all of a sudden, well, he's off. He's done. He didn't give up 63 points to South Carolina. Yeah. He played no defense, but I thought he deserved to be in New York at least.
And if that field goal that they beat Alabama on that knuckleball doesn't go through, and if Alabama only had one loss, Bryce Young may still we may be talking about him.
And again, I think he deserved to be on there. So that's what made it hard. There were so many guys that you could come up with a reason not to vote for them, but they had a lot of reasons to vote for them, and it's always an interesting ballot to do it. And I know you take it seriously. Yeah, I mean, this is something you hold dear to your heart, the Heisman Trophy and the whole group up there and what they do.
Yeah, I think all the guys that's fortunate enough to win it understand that's something for the rest of your life. Although a lot of people don't know I won the Heisman Trophy. They're Gators. I don't think they know, because we never talk about it. We talk about
you got a statue
we talk
out
about
there.
what we did as coaches. Yeah, but they didn't put that statue up because they did because I won the Heisman.
They did, yeah.
Because that's what somebody said. You ought to have a coaching thing up there because your teams didn't do crap while you were here, and they didn't. Well, we went to the bowl games, but we did not.
Yeah, but I think the trophy is because you won the Heisman. The Ring of Honor is because you did as a coach.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I think, and the stadium name is more for what you did as a coach. But before you, in fact, a lot of people don't know this. In 1965, you actually finished 9th. You got votes. You were the first Florida player to finish in the top 10 in the Heisman voting, and then
65
and 65, and then won in 66.
I think 65. I might have actually had more passing yards than 66. Somebody said, but
we had that field goal.
Well, we got behind and threw a whole bunch in 65, a little bit more. But anyway, now what I think most all players that we were able to coach here, we're most proud of not only winning SECs, but winning that bowl game too. Yeah. Sometimes like we lost to Tennessee a couple of years and they went on and won the SEC. But we won the bowl game, finished in the top 10, 97 team and 98 team. So those were really good years. And I think the Gator fans will say if we go 11-2 and win the Orange Bowl or the Capital One Bowl, that's a pretty good year.
Yep. Well, and that's the funny thing. And not next year, but the following year, we're going to be in this 12-team playoff. And I worry about the bowls. And I also worry about the championship games, whether they get to a point and they go, look, that's going to be too many games. So they're going to, I don't know if they're going to cancel any of those or not. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, you'd think regular season they may go back to 11 games instead of 12 and allow that week for the playoffs, or else they could move the season up.
I think they
a
ought
week
to move
also.
the season up.
Yeah, that makes sense. They could.
I mean, we're all sitting around here dying for football to start. Why not go ahead and start it? I mean, that's what I believed for a long time they should do. All right, we're going to play a little trivia. Not really trivia, but we're going to ask Coach some questions about the Heisman Trophy, where he will be heading tomorrow, and we'll be there for the ceremony. He gets to. Do you get to stand on the stage there at the end? Yeah.
Yeah, all the former guys stand behind.
That's kind of cool.
The current winner. We started doing it like that. I guess 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm not sure.
That's really cool. Okay, how many? Let me see if you can name how many players you can name that from Florida that finished in the top 10 in the voting. There have been 10 of them.
Oh, really?
In the history. You're one of them, and you did it twice.
Obviously, Tebow and Werfel.
Yep, Tebow and Werfel.
Did it twice.
Tebow did it 3 times, actually.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Danny did it twice. Danny finished 3rd and then won it the next year.
Oh, let's see. Carlos Alvarez, John Reeves.
He did. Nope, neither
Reeves
one of those
didn't?
guys. Nope.
Oh, defensive players or offensive?
No defensive. All pretty much quarterbacks. One really good running back that almost played for you.
Emmett or Eric?
Emmett did it 3 times. Jimmy DeBose was the first after you. Think about that. That was 9 years went by without a top 10. And Jimmy DeBose finished in there. Wes Chandler finished 10th one year. Emmett 3 times. Shane finished 5th. I think was 91, not 92.
91.
Yeah, because 91, I mean, the numbers were ridiculous the way he played that year.
Well, he was SEC Player of the Year
Yeah.
back-to-back years. That's a pretty good honor right there.
And then, of course, Danny twice. And then the one that I throw up in my mouth a little bit when I think about it still was Rex Grossman finishing 2nd, which was a joke.
That was.
He should have won it.
Yeah, the quarterback from Nebraska, Eric Crouch, I think.
Yeah, who had more interceptions than touchdowns.
Yeah, that was the voting in the Midwest, I guess. But, yeah, Rex was a heck of a player. In fact, statistically, that 2001 team we had was about the 3rd or 4th best in school history.
Well, but I think too many guys, when they're voting on this, it's all about the last game. And you got that game postponed, obviously, to the end of the season, the Tennessee game.
Yeah. Well, he had a good game there. Heck,
he did, but you lost, so it's like people freak out. Well, I can't vote for him now.
Yeah. That's true.
And Eric Crouch ends up winning it. Tebow 3 times. Kyle Trask finished 4th.
Yeah, Kyle was at the ceremony when they announced all the finalists.
Yep, he was there. And then the 10th one is Kyle Pitts. The same year. It's the only time Florida's had 2 in the top 10. Tells you how dynamic that offense was.
I think Kyle Pitts caught more passes that last year than his entire NFL career thus far. Yeah.
He is. That's true. All right. Here's a good trivia question for you, Steve. 4 players have worn number 11 that won the Heisman. You know one of them for sure.
11,
and that's you.
And there's been 3 others?
3 others. One of them was before you, just a few years before you.
I don't know.
And he played at Oregon State.
Terry Baker. Okay.
Terry Baker in 1962 or 11. And also Terry Baker, I didn't even know this. I was looking up some stuff. Terry Baker not only won the Heisman, he was a point guard on the Final Four basketball team that year.
Same year. Yeah. I knew he was an excellent all-around athlete. He used to come back to the event.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him in the last 3 or 4 years, I think.
The other 2 have become announcers. Andre Ware in 89 and Matt Leinart in 2004. Those are the number 11s. Only one player has worn number 15, which is kind of weird.
Tebow.
And that's young Tim Tebow.
And we thought Anthony Richardson might be in the hunt.
I know. That's a funny thing.
We all thought that after that first game.
That's right.
Oh, man.
He's going to be, he'll be in New York. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now he's just going to be somewhere else. I know. Nobody knows for sure where. Last one for you here. What schools had the most finalists?
Ohio State or Notre Dame? Probably Ohio State. Southern Cal.
No, because they didn't start doing finalists till 82.
Oh, okay.
So Notre Dame would have dominated otherwise.
Southern Cal.
No, Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, with 11, and Alabama with 11. Florida's 4th with 8. Florida's had 8 finalists. So, because it wasn't until 82. Again, I know all this because I looked it up. Steve's walking in here. I'm just throwing all these questions at him. But It wasn't until 82 they started having finalists come up. And everybody always acts like, why don't they have 6 finalists? Why don't they do? It's a percentage of the vote. That if you have to have a certain percentage of the vote, it's kind of like a runoff or whatever, but to be invited up there.
That's right. That's true.
So you're excited about getting up there?
Well, I've been doing it every year. And my wife and I go up for the 2-3 days. And
there's a banquet on Sunday. Or
she likes to take one of the grandkids. Well, we do, and so my grandson Nolan's going up.
Oh, okay.
And they are going to see the play Hamilton.
Oh,
which
really?
They do give 2 tickets to all Heisman guys that come up. So I'm going to not go and let my grandson Nolan take my spot.
How old's Nolan?
16.
Oh, yeah, he'll be good.
He's playing a little basketball out there at Starkville.
Is he?
Starkville Academy High School. Yeah.
Good for him. All right, Coach, anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, that's about it.
I do know that I'm really interested to see who you guys pick for that first-year coach thing, because that's coming up pretty soon, right?
Well, obviously, Sonny Dykes and Lincoln Riley are the top 2. So one of those 2, I would think, would probably be the choice.
Yeah, I think Brian Kelly might have played his way out of that one.
He lost his last 2 games. So what's that old saying? You're only as good as your last game?
That's right.
And look at South Carolina. When they limped out of our stadium here, I thought they were going 6-6. And they turned it around and beat Tennessee and Clemson.
Ruined both of their playoffs.
And we were sitting here talking, man, we got a chance to be 8-4, win the bowl game, have a 9-win season. Now we got a chance to lose the bowl game
and we have a losing
just
season.
Like last year.
Just like last year.
Just like last year right now.
And that's the funny thing is we'll see what happens with the record wise, but that South Carolina, Feinbaum was asking this question, what's the biggest story of college football season this year? And I said, South Carolina's last 3 games is the biggest story to me, because it changed the whole playoffs. First of all, the fact that they came in here and looked like a team who had quit, that didn't even want to play hard. They scored 6 points and then 63 the next week, knocked Tennessee out of the playoffs, knocked Clemson out of the playoffs. I've never seen anything like it.
It was an interesting turnaround. It really was. But it just goes to show you it can happen if you get a spark somewhere along the line. I go back to that Duke team, and I talk about it all the time because we were 1-3 the year before I became the Gator coach.
Right.
If we don't turn it around, they're not going to hire me. If we go 5-6 at Duke, or even 6-5, the Gators would say, well, why would we hire a coach at Duke? So anyway, we were 1-3. Our running backs started running over people. Our quarterbacks played well. Our defense played the maximum they could play. Didn't have any player that went to the NFL on defense. We had 2 or 3 offensive guys that played a little bit, not too much. But it just goes to show you attitude and effort and good coaching. We changed our coaching approach to upset Clemson, and we're able to maintain it through the rest of the year. So winning 7 in a row for that team, somebody'd say, ain't no way you could do that. And it's still, of course, the only ACC championship in 60 years now at Duke.
Right.
So
was that Ben Bennett, or was he after that?
No, it was actually Dave Brown and Billy Ray. 2 quarterbacks played. Right. Everybody's worried about, you got to have 1 quarterback. You don't have to have 1 quarterback.
Well, you've shown
Jesse
that.
and Rex, they both played, as long as everybody's on the same page.
You played 2 in one game.
I'm a big believer. If one of them's going bad, give the other guy a chance. If we hadn't benched Rex a couple of times and maybe Jesse once or so, we would not have won that 2000 SEC. I'm convinced of that.
Absolutely. I spent some time with Ben Bennett up in he was with the Jacksonville Bulls.
Yeah.
And we got to know each other pretty well. And we talked a lot about you and stuff, and he loved it.
He was a very good player. In fact, he was the leading passer in all of college football when he finished.
He did.
It's been broken several times since he finished in '83. Ben Bennett, good one.
And will be broken again probably because the way the rules are now, man. I mean, it's you can't get away with anything. So it's an offensive league. So, all right, you were way ahead of your time in that way. I mean, you started throwing all over. Now everybody's throwing it all over the place. We appreciate Coach Spurrier coming in here to take this a little early because he's going to the Heisman. But we will be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast. We'll get to the Hesser and Kipke 3 things and all of our fun stuff when we come back here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brew To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Storytime is brought to you by East Lake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of East Lake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about East Lake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is time to go to our Big Mills cheesesteak Zoom line and get our good friend Robbie Andreu in here. to talk about yes, nowhere, maybe. We'll get to that. Robbie, how are you doing? You ready for the holidays?
Yeah, good, Pat. How are you?
I'm
Do you have
good.
any plans for the weekend yet?
They changed. Just put it that way. And I had no input, but I'll probably have some output.
You just go along for the ride.
It's all you can do at the holidays.
No.
I used
Yeah.
to try to fight it when I was younger, and I one time got slapped in the car. So that should tell you,
Yeah.
that should
You
tell
do
you how
what you-
bad.
Yeah, you do what you're told, Pat. Everything will be fine.
All right, are you? But you're ready for the holidays? You got all your presents and everything, or?
I'd say no way to that. Maybe. I call it a maybe.
All right. Well, let's play yes, nowhere, maybe, as we always do with Robbie once a week, and we appreciate it. His appearances are brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak on yes, nowhere, maybe, and Big Mills Cheesesteak, where if you go in there and you get an order of food, if you get like a big one of those beautiful sausage dogs or one of the cheesesteaks, and say, hey, I'll listen to another duly noted podcast. Yes, I know they're going to take me back to the home in a little bit, but I do listen to it. That will give you free fries with your order. So let's do yes, nowhere, maybe. Robbie, number one, Max Duggan has a chance to win the Heisman Trophy tomorrow night.
In my mind, maybe, because I thought that his performance the other day in that loss was a Heisman performance. The poor kid was getting beat up. He led his team back, and I think I might have voted for him. So I think, maybe he has a chance, but I think most people out there don't seem to think so.
Well,
even though I think he's deserving, very deserving.
Well, and yeah, I think you have to look at it this way. How many times did he lead them from behind? It was like 5 times. It wasn't his fault they lost the game. But again, it's almost Rex Grossman-y,
Yeah.
And that Grossman got penalized because Florida lost to Tennessee 34-32. I mean, that's not his fault,
Yeah, and he had a phenomenal season. He should have won the Heisman.
Well,
but I think if Dugan, if they had won that game, I think Dugan would have won the Heisman.
Eric Crouch, Robbie, threw 7 touchdowns that year and 10 interceptions. So, I'll never let that go. I promise you that.
No, that was a bad call. Bad call.
Yep. All right. I can't tell you who I voted for, but there's a reason I brought up that question. Okay.
Okay.
So I know I know one vote that's going that way. Number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Jack Miller will show he will be in the competition in the spring.
Well, I think, Pat, no matter what he does in that game, he's going to be in the competition just because of the numbers are so low right now. So, will he have a big game in the bowl game? I don't know. He hadn't played all year. He's been hurt. A lot of receivers are going to be missing. But, yeah, he'll be in the competition for sure because he was, going into the year, he was the clear backup till he got hurt. And with the low numbers, and Rashad's going to be a true freshman in the spring. So, yeah, he'll be fighting for that starting job in the spring. Now, does he win it? I don't know, but he'll be a factor for sure.
Yeah, and a lot will depend on who they do bring in because I know that they're interested in Michael Pratt, who's a quarterback at Tulane, who numbers are unbelievable, and I've watched a lot of their games. And Sam Hartman rumor keeps circulating, which I don't know how true that is. The NC State quarterback Leary, is another guy. There are a ton of them out there, Robbie. It's like every day somebody goes into the portal that I go, I thought he was pretty good, but there were some problems with him. So
Pat, this morning I heard from somebody who said that Pratt is on the top of their list right now, and it makes sense. He's a really good quarterback, and he's from Deerfield Beach, Florida. So there's a connection right there. So he may be the guy.
I'd heard that he was a big target for them, and then I saw that he was from Boca's, where his hometown's listed at. But you and I both know that Deerfield Beach, Boca area very well.
He'd be a great addition, Pat.
Yeah,
he'd be a great addition.
And a guy who knows how to win. They've had a lot of close games, and a guy who knows how to beat UCF.
Yeah, he does. He proved that. He's a big kid too.
Yep. All right. Finally, Robbie, on yes, no way, or maybe, the Vikings get the top seed in the NFL or NFC after this year. You're a big Vikings guy. You're one game back of the Eagles. Do you get the top seed?
No way, Pat. And I'll tell you why. The Vikings, they're not a great 10-2 team or whatever they are right now.
No.
They've been very lucky to win games, and I guarantee you they're going to go to Detroit and lose that game on Sunday, and then they'll probably be 2 games behind. So no, I'm going to say no way on that. Even though the Vikings, it's been encouraging, they're not a great 10-2 team, and I think the Eagles are going to be the number 1 seed.
They're Lon Krugerish. They find ways to win, but I don't think I think the Eagles are the same way. I think the funny thing is
a little bit.
Yeah, both those teams just whatever they need to do to win the game. It's not about you got to do this well, you got to do that well. I think it's been kind of interesting. So
yeah, the thing about the Vikings, Pat, to lose to the Cowboys like they did a few weeks ago was just unbelievably bad. 40 to whatever it was.
Yeah,
I don't think they.
Off. I don't know.
Yeah, I did too. It was awful.
All right, Robbie.
So no way on them.
We'll let you go, and we will call you back. We'll have you back, I think, on Monday. Yeah. So Monday we'll have you back, okay?
And just go with the flow this weekend, Pat. That's all you can do.
That's all I can do.
Okay.
Robbie Andreu joining us, as always, on Yes, No Way, or Maybe, which is brought to you, as always, by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Always have fun with Robbie. Let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I meant to. That's a good question. I should have Ken on to talk about the Eagles, about what he thinks, whether they can get the top seed or not. 3 Things is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Number 1, and we appreciate Ken and Jennifer. Number 1 on 3 Things is the release of Brittany Griner. Say the name right, Brittany Griner. Certainly, people take different opinions. I'm just happy she's home. I have a daughter I have 2 daughters, but one of my daughters turned. I don't know how old I know, but I probably shouldn't say it. But one of my daughters had her birthday yesterday, and it's always emotional when you think about it. Also, the day, ironically, that John Lennon was killed was the same day, and it was like this weird feeling that I've talked about that before. But I'm just happy she's home, and whatever your look, you're going to go on one side or the other, and I'm not going to get in the middle of it because I don't do that. But I'm just happy an American citizen was able to come home, and that's great news. It really is. Number 2, this is where we are with the transfer portal, and I'm not blaming this individual, but it's way out of whack, and we have to deal with it. But whatever. But if you saw the South Carolina-Florida game, they had a tight end named Austin Stogner who came in with a lot of fanfare and had a good year at Oklahoma, transferred with Rattler, basically followed him to South Carolina. Now he's transferring back to Oklahoma. So it is just, I tell you what, the power is with the players, and you're going to get where you're going to get really frustrated. You may already be frustrated with it. You may be mad about it. But the bottom line is it's what we have to deal with, and you just got to, you're cheering for the laundry. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's like Seinfeld said, you're cheering for the laundry. It's all you care about. Don't worry about the individual players. They're going to come, they're going to go. This is like the NFL. It's like mini NFL right now. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in this, that, and the other. Number 3, you think Florida's got it bad? And they do, with all the players that have opted out, Ventrell Miller and Anthony Richardson, who were the 2 guys I said were the keys to this season before the year. But Notre Dame also, a lot of guys, and there is a Jacksonville joke here that I will not tell because it's too easy. But their quarterbacks opted out. Their tight end, who's unbelievable, I think he was runner-up for the Mackey Award. Brock Bowers won that. from Georgia, as you know, and then their top sack man opted out. I didn't really know much about him, but anyway, he's projected as a top 10 draft pick, and he should. Choices: go to the Gator Bowl, get ready for the draft where I'm going to be a top 10 pick. That, to me, I don't know that there's an answer to any of this, though. And that's the thing. Everybody talks about how there's too many bowls. We need to get rid of the bowls, blah, 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 blah. But the bottom line is these are for the players, and the players enjoy it. The ones that show up, the ones that decide to stick it out, get some nice stuff. They have to practice a little bit. They play at a game with TV on because ESPN has every game. It's not that big a deal. If you don't want to play, you don't have to. I don't want us to get to the point where they have to write it in. If they have to write it in to the contracts, then, for the NIL contracts, now what do we do? It just seems like that would just be too extreme to me. I don't know, though. There are a lot of answers about what's going on in college football today. I have none of them, unfortunately. Hopefully one day I figure it all out. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things for this week, and we appreciate Ken and Jennifer. Let's get to our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. The Gator of the Week was from last night, Van Jefferson catching the winning touchdown pass for the lowly Rams, defending Super Bowl champs, who are now 4-9 because they won that game, and Baker Mayfield was the story, of course. But I was just happy to see Van Jefferson, 23-yard pass to win the game. They had a 98-yard drive. He's been out most of the year. I love Van Jefferson's one of my – and look, I've got a lot of favorite wide receivers at the University of Florida. You've seen many of them on this show. Quez Green was just on last week. Doring's on all the time. Riddell's been on. I could go on and on. But the bottom line is Van Jefferson's right up there. I love that guy. I loved his attitude. I loved him as an interview, and I loved the way he played the game. So he is also – can put that in as a feather in his cap. The Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. Let us get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. A lot of you did pick the Raiders, and the Raiders got points. So even though it was a 1-point win for the Rams, you won. So we got a lot of names on the list. Like I said, we're going to make a pick. I think it's going to be on the 26th, the day after Christmas, to give everybody some reason to wake up in the morning after Christmas and go see if they won the picks. Because I think we're going to do a show. We'll see. But we will do it during the month of December. Just one game in college football. We're just going to give you that one. I know a lot of people, you're going to get mad because you couldn't get in time. Navy's giving 3 against Army, neutral site game. So Navy, Army, you want to give them some props. And Navy is giving 3 to Army. That is our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. We appreciate them. And, of course, the winner will get a $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's plus some other stuff. I always throw some other stuff in there. You never know what it'll be. Depends on what's in my garage a lot of the time. And believe me, you'd like my garage. Let us get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club games of the weekend. Of course, the Gainesville Quarterback Club, we shut it down. It was weird on Tuesday because Coach Whittemore was there and gave a really eloquent speech about his son, Creed, who was the offensive player of the year. And then I read on Twitter, he's done. He quit. So I said, oh, okay. Maybe he wants to follow his kids around. Maybe he wants to go. Maybe if they both go to Starkville, which I assume Trent will too, maybe he wants to go get a condo in Starkville and watch them play. If I could afford to do that, something like that, that'd be great. But anyway, so here are the games of the weekend for the Gainesville Quarterback Club. College, obviously, there's only one game. There's a lot of games going on this weekend involving the other playoffs. If you're into that, I'm not going to bore you with who's playing. Okay, but Army Navy is at 3 on CBS. The NFL, I think the best NFL game is Tampa Bay at San Francisco. I can't wait to see that one. I'll be watching that 4:25 on Fox. And then the women's basketball plays at Miami 4 p.m. Sunday. I think that's a little bit of a test. Again, they're 9-1 and they got killed by FSU and We're still not sure if they're any good, but go down there and win that game. That would be something. So that's at 4 p.m. On the ACC network. The best college game on Saturday is Alabama at Houston. I can't wait for conference to start. I have a hard time getting into some of these games, but when conference basketball starts, I'm so fired up. I get excited. All right, so that game is at 3 on ABC. Alabama's number 8. Houston is number 1 in the country right now. So that'll be a great game to watch. And then you might want to watch this game. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but Louisville is at FSU. FSU, between them, they have 1 win. Louisville still has won a game. That game is at 1 on the ACC network. Or you could, if you wanted to torture somebody, you could make them watch the game. Anyway, all right, let's get to this, that, and the other. And as always, this, that, and the other is presented by Darshakow Insurance, our good friends over there, John Dar Jr. We appreciate him. And, of course, Ironwood Golf Course, where the golf tournament will be taking place, the Bob Dooley Invitational 28th. It's going to be interesting. We got a lot of good things going on. One of them I'm going to talk about in just a minute. And then, of course, as always, Ballyhoo Grill, where I think I may be dining. We'll see. We'll see if that happens or not. Number 1, all right, the transfer portal happened, and everybody was like, oh, man, it's going to be crazy. And, the coaches want to control. We were kind of like, the coaches, you guys need to let it go. You need to let the control go. And so that happened. But on top of that, that is that here comes this NIL stuff with no regulations. Totally Wild Wild West, even more than the transfer portal. You put them together, and we don't have no idea what a roster is going to look like. Florida can gut its roster and start over again, as they're doing right now. Other teams have done that. This is not unusual. But the bottom line is that the other is you need to just let it go. I mean, I talk to people all the time. Somebody came up to me in the gym yesterday. Well, I was doing sit-ups. Can I get that on the record that I was doing sit-ups? I think I did 4. But and was talking about the portal and all this stuff. And I go, well, it's not going to change. Look, it got screwed up. The NCAA screwed it up. Just embrace it. And I know your coaches and your people that work for him have got to embrace it. If they don't, they're going to get left behind. I feel like I did this, that, and the other before, but it's gotten even built up even more. It's even more so. Finally, let's get to the Pat Dooley story time, which of course is presented by Eastlake Pediatrics. And I wanted to commend Mike Jordan, who I'm actually going over to see after we get done here, who is, of course, from Eastlake Pediatrics, and he has become a big major sponsor, a gold sponsor in the Bob Dooley Invitational. And we appreciate people like that. And you can get in, how to get a hold of me. You can go on stopchildrenscancer.org and look at the sponsorships. And if you want to get involved, but believe me, we're running out of room for players. So some of those sponsorships offer players, but we're going to get to a point where we can't offer the sponsorship anymore because we can't fit 1 billion people on the course. But we appreciate Mike Jordan as well for being one of the major sponsors. So here's my story time for this time. This was the Heisman where we weren't at the Heisman. And this was Robbie and I went up there. We actually stayed in the same room, which we rarely did because we both snored. We stayed in the same room because that was the best we could do financially. It was like $380, I think, for the two of us. But they took us to this place, and I don't even know where it was. And that's where we had, I think we took a cab. We knew where to go though. And that's where we had to wait for the Heisman. But the Heisman was like 2 miles away, 3 miles away. It was, cold New York night, and they're doing all the Heisman stuff there, and we're watching it on TV. Man, what a disappointment that was to think about it. And then what I remember the most about that night, though, was Tebow finished second to Sam Bradford, but actually finished third. Colt McCoy was second. Tebow still had the most first place votes, as I recall. So that would have been 2008. And of course, won the national championship. So anyway, I'm talking to Bobby Stoops, who of course I've known forever, and about it. And I said, Tebow got the most votes, man. He's gonna be ticked off when he plays you guys. I'm just kidding around. And his eyes all of a sudden, you could just glassed over, and you could see him like he was distracted, like he was thinking about that. He's like, that's probably not good. Now, I don't think Tebow wasn't the difference in that game. Percy Harvin was, but the bottom line is Florida won that game. That's my Pat Dooley story time for today. We appreciate our producers, as always, Tammy and Jason, and appreciate Coach Spurrier. We appreciate Robbie Andreu. Man, we always love these shows where we get both those guys on. We will be back on Monday with Peter Burns. Until then, I'm Pat Dooley saying I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.